What's up, everybody? I wanted to provide an analytical perspective to this question that I'm asking because it's multi-layered. It's not negative. I just really want to know a few things because Dune Awakening started out amazing. I loved it when it first came out. The potential for greatness and longevity was there, but it seems to be that they're making mistakes that they've made in the past, which actually could be avoided because it's still early for the game to thrive. And don't take this the wrong way because I have a serious question. And it's totally justified. What is the purpose of this new cool looking vehicle? Because here's the thing. It's not simply about a flashy design or a neat addition to the sandbox. It's about the bigger picture. Why do developers keep repeating the same cycle? They cater to new players while veterans, the people who've put in 500 plus hours, I know some of them personally, and they still enjoy the game. I still enjoy the game. So this is why I'm taking this angle, because I want it to be better. I want it to thrive. Most likely this is going to fall on deaf ears because corporate doesn't really pay attention to pleads like this. But for the diehards who carry the game, who log in and keep their bases alive, they're left with nothing meaningful to come back for. So the logic is simple. If you cater to veterans first, you actually get both. You keep the foundation of your community strong, and new players naturally follow because they see a game with real depth and lasting value. Instead, what we're getting is things like this vehicle, the treadwheel, and even the new short story campaign feels short-lived. It's surface level content meant to impress newcomers, not to sustain. And I get the strategy. It's smart on paper. Check this out, okay? And this is the icing on the cake for the new players. They're offering free playtest, letting people experience the golden age window of the game again. Because let's be honest, most veterans will tell you, and I'll tell you, the best time they ever had was before the Deep Desert, during the build up in the campaign playthrough. That early era had the magic, the discovery, the momentum. Developers know that's when players are most hooked, so they're recreating that moment as what you would call a sales funnel. Try it free, keep your progress if you buy. Strategic? Absolutely. But none of this creates a future for the people who are already invested. Furthermore, the new players that decide to go this route. Now, I can't speak for everyone, okay? But I think that veterans aren't really asking for a new vehicle or another short campaign. They're asking for something with weight, systems that matter long term, content that respects their time. If the focus stays on surface level hooks, all you're doing is refreshing the top layer of the player base while letting the core erode. So if you didn't know, here's some of the things they're adding. The new vehicle. Now just look at this from a long-term perspective, okay? Because vehicles always risk being novelty content, but if this one meaningfully changes traversal or resource runs like quick spice runs or reverse movement, creating unique strategies, I mean, it could reshape the way players move around the map long-term, but it's just flashy transport though. Players will get over it quickly. The 3 new Imperial testing stations, they do add replayable PvE content if they include scaling difficulty, randomized encounters, or unique loot drops, which they're probably not going to do. This could keep players coming back, but if not, they risk being one and done like every other testing station. So the longevity hinges on rewards and challenge variation, which is something that they're not really doing. And we have the new journey, the Lost Harvest. Story missions typically add only a few hours. The difference here depends on whether the secret cargo ties into broader systems, new gear, schematics, and permanent unlocks. Narrative content alone is short-lived, but storylines that branch into progression have lasting impact. There's more coming, but I want to tell you about something a guildmate who actually quit playing Dune, who was in love with it, said, and this really stuck with me. It's a simple idea that would instantly make vehicles matter in a way that would get you excited for this new treadwheel coming. So he said, put an invisible wall in the deep desert that only allows ground vehicles, no ornithopters, and inside that zone, make the resources bountiful, make it dangerous, make it rewarding. Suddenly, there's a reason to roll out these new rides, along with just engaging, exciting ground combat that will expand the replayability of this game. So if this treadwheel doesn't outrun a sandworm, which I highly doubt it does, I don't see it offering much more benefit than a sand bike, which I don't use 99% of the time because I'm flying around in an ornithopter. That's why the significance of a zone that's only ground vehicles would be very appealing. And there's one more issue I want to bring up. Here's a good idea that they can implement, because I think that it was very inconvenient to have to start over when creating a new character to join a siege. For example, if you have a friend that's in another. A lot of people have talked about merging sieges, but with how many there are and how many players are inside them, that could be catastrophic. But the real problem is character server binding. When I first started, I assumed I could create one character and join any siege on any server. So I leveled up, put in so many hours, and then a friend joined on another server later on. Naturally, I wanted to hop on and play with him, but I couldn't. I could, but I would have to restart, create a whole new character, and I thought my progress had been wiped. So I was confused. I'm like, wait, did I just make a mistake? Turns out, as we know now, each server requires a new character. That's very inconvenient in my opinion, and honestly discouraging if you've already built up a character that's almost level 200. You have all of this stuff, and I get it, because I've already started a new character after creating that hibernation bunker. I actually didn't realize how much I was playing the game and how much I actually had to do to get back to the level I was at in my other server. So with this in mind, why not create a system where your character can switch sieges without losing their level? Sure, you sacrifice some things, make it like a big sacrifice, maybe gear, maybe ownership of certain territory, something that won't allow people to actually exploit this feature, but at least you keep your progress. Nobody wants to completely restart after grinding hundreds of hours. This is not giving you an incentive to actually get on and play. If you have other people, or you just want to, like, let's say, explore another siege, there are many reasons why not only playing with other friends to join other sieges. And I think if you developers can provide an opportunity or a way to do that without losing progress, that would be a step forward. Giving players that kind of flexibility could solve a huge frustration and help communities stick together instead of splitting apart. But I've spoken about what should be in a game. Here's another thing that they're adding, right? 5 new base decorations. Okay, this doesn't really have longevity value. It's cosmetic only. It is meaningful for community creators and role players because decor keeps the builders engaged. I'm a builder, so this would intrigue me a little bit, which does increase retention indirectly, by catering to a niche group of players. And they've got these Dune man building pieces. It's bigger than simple cosmetics. It's new building sets. They're good for a niche group again. And armor skins, no way. I mean, this is just cosmetic. I'm not really interested in that. You got this thumper emote, again, surface level. And chapter 2 is a free update where the story continues. And again, this is narrative. Also, we don't know exactly what they're talking about when they say a completely revamped in-game. There's no details. And that's actually what I'm interested in, because when they focus on that is where other aspects of the game will evolve. Specifically what I was referring to before about when I said 80% of the player base has left this game. And I was saying, okay, this is what the developers can do to reintroduce the replay factor and the live aspect to this game. Like just one example, okay? Dungeons. Right now, what we call dungeons are basically small coves or underground testing facilities. They don't offer enough exploration. They don't offer mystery. I mean, they have these nice recordings where people are discussing what's happened down there. Some nice lore to listen to when you're going through there, but it doesn't really offer real value. But what if they did? Imagine raids where players could actually gather outside the entrance, prep their gear, strategize, and then dive in together. Imagine rewards locked behind those raids alone. So it's like rewards you can only get by completing them, not by grinding anywhere else. This provides an incentive to play. And these dungeons could go much deeper, like picture abandoned Fremen landmarks, half buried in the sand where you descend into ancient architecture, similar to what you experience in the story, which again was a reason why people were playing and so intrigued, because you're like, oh, we could find the Fremen, and it was just a cool storyline. It could be rich in lore and mystery because there are so many aspects of players, people who love lore, people who love PvP. There's just different aspects that you can explore with this huge Dune game that you have. And look, these are just a few ideas that came up while I was talking to my guildmates. And here's the thing, I know Funcom has plenty of creative developers with ambitious ideas like this. There are hundreds of developers working on this game. Problem is, above them sit the corporate heads, people who only think about profit margins. Sadly, that's just the way it is. It's either the gamer's vision or where the game needs to go when it comes to finances. And from that perspective, the question becomes, why even do that? If the money's already made, if the marketing strategy works, then the ambition gets filtered out. At the end of the day, it feels like it all comes down to money. Now, that's why I ask again, what's the point, not just of this vehicle, but of the overall direction? If the goal is truly longevity, then meaning has to come before marketing. Otherwise, you're just repeating the same mistakes, like people say that you did in Conan Exiles, or as my guildmate said, New World. They waited too long to release certain content. By that time, people were burnt out. Yeah, anyways, that's pretty much all I want to say in this discussion. I know it was pretty longer than my normal videos, but I just wanted to break down some of the stuff that they were coming with if you weren't aware, and what they can do to increase the longevity of the game to keep players coming back and playing your game. Game is great, man. It's only a few months old. You can compare this with other games that have been out for years and still haven't done anything for their communities. So there's still time, which is why I'm not really getting too frustrated. We have other games around the corner like Arc Raiders, which I'm really looking forward to. So let's just keep it moving up until then and see where this goes. I want to see what this new vehicle is about when this update comes out. Of course, I'm going to explore the story. I'll be waiting to see what this revamped endgame they're talking about is going to consist of. Anyways, that'll do it for this one. I appreciate you watching until the end. If you're here, you're a GOAT, man. And I appreciate you. So like the video and don't hesitate to subscribe and join the family, man. I'd love to have you here. I'll see you in the next one. Be right out.